Hey guys, and welcome to another guide, this time for Vault of Wardens. Now, this dungeon is a little more difficult than some of the other ones, has some very weird mechanics. Let's get right to it. First boss is a little interesting. He will have two different phase 2s that he can go to. Phase 1 is pretty straightforward. He might throw some fire on the ground, avoid that. Here we have a few vortexes on the ground, some of the mortars. Just make sure you don't get hit in them and don't stand in the fire. When he does do dark strikes, you do need to pop some sort of mitigation as the tank, so be wary of that. Keep some of your rage up or your mana up, whatever you need. When he does knock you back, he does do that furious blast cast that you did see. You do want someone to immediately interrupt him, because if he gets that off, that is big AoE damage that you do not want. Right here you do see phase 2. He does go into his tanking phase right now. Basically, depending on which phase 2 he goes into, you either want to dodge the eye beams that come out of him, or you want to dodge the glaives that come at him. So you see here we did get the glaives, and they are going to span the whole arena. Unfortunately for us, they didn't close in. Sometimes they do close in and you can actually avoid them. But since they didn't close in, I actually did have to run through it, and that's big damage on us. You did see off in the corner there, it did close in, giving you a chance to avoid it. But unfortunately for us, it just didn't really work out. And here you see he finally went down. Just try to avoid those glaives. Don't stand in any fire. Now boss number 2 is interesting because he can go to either one of 4 different places and spawn ads. Depending on the ads, that's really how the fight will go. It's not so much based on him. With him, just keep him interrupted and you'll be fine. Now here he teleports. We are going to get some of the ads that cause an explosion on the ground that you really want to avoid. So we do get the corruptions. These can put a debuff on someone that does big AoE, so you just need to be careful with that. You do see 2 of my party members here get the debuff over on the left. So those people, they really don't want to get dispelled. And when they get dispelled, or after a few seconds, they will explode from massive AoE damage. So you do see here someone does go down because they didn't run out of the AoE. So Sap Soul being cast by the boss is what you really want to interrupt. Here we go to another one of the areas with a bunch of ads. Basically with the ads, you also want to keep them interrupted. They can cast fear on you, or they can do AoE bombs. So long story short for the ads, don't stand on any fires. Keep them interrupted, don't let the boss cast Sap Soul, and don't stand in any fires. You do see here we do get the technicians. You should remember these guys from Blood Furnace. Don't try to stand on any of their landmines, they will do a lot of damage. If you're the tank, you can go ahead and take 1 or 2 if you really need to for positioning. Boss number 3, the Golem. Now with him, it's very simple. Don't stand on any fire on the ground and he will spawn a lot of it. Also, as the tank, you do want to pick up any ads. At a certain point, he spawns rotating pools of fire. If someone stands in them, they do get a debuff. It is dispellable, but it also does a lot of damage. So you do see here one of the ads. At first it was a vortex on the ground. You want to avoid that, and over on the right hand side of the screen you start seeing these rotating pools of lava. Do not stand in them. After the fissure, he will spawn a big line of lava and some pools that persist. Just do not stand in the fire. If you do stand in one of the fires and it happens to be lava wreath, then you will most likely die because you'll get 5 stacking debuffs at the same time. And you see here, that was a lava wreath that he did cast. Here we have another fissure. Avoid the new lava he makes on the ground. Here we have the next boss, Glazer. Now with him, he spawns big purple orbs that radiate from him and that come back. They bounce off the walls and come back. Now you see them here. They will bounce back. You need to avoid them at all costs. They will do pretty moderate damage. If you do not avoid them, they will hit you. One thing to note is that they can hit the boss. So if you have a lot of range DPS and you can position the boss wherever you want, you can actually make the boss take that damage and he will spawn pools next to him. Now this is phase 2. He does summon a light beam that he starts rotating with. What you need to do is, you see these owl reflective shields out here on the corners. You do need to start rotating them in such a way where the light beam makes him hit himself. Now he will stay here, and you do see I do have some of the DPS over there rotating some of the owls. So here we have the rotation, and we do need to rotate this last statue. Hits him, disrupts this big shield, and we're back to where we were in phase 1. Throwing out orbs again, making them bounce back in. Avoid them. If you can, make the boss hit them instead. It is a little risky with a lot of melee DPS though, and this group was melee heavy. If you see, we had 3 demon hunters. Alright, the next and final boss is a very interesting fight. So someone needs to go pick up the Light of Elune. I went ahead and did that, but it really shouldn't be your tank. Start tanking the boss, and the boss will spawn these big pools that look like they're made of moss. What you need to do, whoever has the Light of Elune needs to go stand on that and make them completely dissipate and disappear. So you did see also there, she does do a knockback ability. Do not tank her near any of the edges. You don't need to worry that much about that, because if you do fall off the edge, a bat will pick you up and throw you back into the arena. However, you will lose threat and she will start attacking someone else in the meantime. So you see here, what needs to happen is whoever has the Light of Elune needs to either throw the Light of Elune to the corner that she's at, or run over there and she will appear again. If you do not, then she will just keep spamming glaives for a minute straight. Now you see here over on the right hand side, whoever has the Light of Elune needs to stand on that pool to diminish it and make it go away completely. Also, something that the boss has going on right now is she has a shield, and you do see these glaives are coming from a corner. Whoever has the Light of Elune needs to run over to that corner and show the illusion that's there so that everybody can start attacking it. If you do not, you'll be stuck like this. She'll just keep spawning more vengeance illusions and you will do absolutely no damage to her. You see there, I did 4 damage. So you do see at this point, we do start running over. The Light of Elune goes to the corner and we do start taking down these vengeance. Now, it did take us a while to figure this out. Don't be like us, we did go pretty far down and we did almost wipe. Fortunately, we didn't. However, here we go. I'm running to the other corner so I can pick up the vengeance. There we go, another one popped up. Now we can run over to the third corner and show the third one. She does still have 2 buffs on her. So we do still have 2 avatars of vengeance up. You do see how much that knockback is and how far it takes you down. You don't want to be standing near any of the edges. Fortunately, me as a warrior, I can just charge back in. So here we go, she no longer has vengeance stacks, and so we can just start knocking her down at 100% damage. And here we have another vengeance, so my damage dealer that has the Light of a Loon needs to run to that corner, which we see here. I move the boss over, and there's Avatar of Vengeance. DPS it down, and now you can damage the boss again. Also, that DPSer needs to run into this big pool of moss, the Deepening Shadows, and mitigate it. Whoever does have the Light of a Loon does not take any damage from the Deepening Shadows, so they need to run in and mitigate that, because anyone else standing on it does take damage. So we do have another vengeance stack here. We also need to reduce the pool you see here. Unfortunately, my DPS that had the Light of a Loon fell off. You see they got thrown back in by a bat. Now we need to go find the vengeance. Here it is. Now we need to kill it. You see my DPSer underneath me there, running into the Deepening Shadows and reducing it. We do get another vengeance. You need to be very quick with your DPS here. Now, if you do want to pop hero or anything like that, I would suggest phase 1 as opposed to these other phases where you don't get much time in. And that wraps it up for this dungeon. Remember, the last boss is very tricky. There are a lot of things you do need to remember for her. See you guys in the next video.